Chapter 45-64. Hearing Gua Lin's words, Zhao secretly sighed. Why didn't he scold those trash in his heart? Perhaps those trash, because they saw that the other party was a high-ranking god, could not be a threat to them, so they ignored it. But it was hard to imagine that the other party would fly into the sky one day, surpass them, and destroy their strength with a snap of the fingers. Of course, the past is like the wind, and the matter has come to this point. And those few trash can only bear the consequences of their one-sidedness. At this moment, Zhao and Gua Lin didn't know. Before that, Duan Lingtian had only met Fu Liangyu, the newly promoted half-sage of the Fu family, but he had never met the other three half-sages. As for the hatred, it is not his own hatred. It is purely for helping others to avenge. Send them back first, and then you and I will personally take action to bring the two of them back to the sect. Zhao said to Gua Lin. Then Han Jiang must be in the Han family. As for Tuobo Yinqing, it may not be in his usual training place. Give Han Jiang to me, and Tuobo Yinqing is up to you to bring it back. If Tuobo Yinqing is still in his usual training place, you don't have to worry too much about it. Just because he's not there, whether it is Han Jiang or Tuobo Yinqing, they are only half-sages, and it couldn't be easier for them to bring them back to Qingyun's sect. Even, as long as they issued an order to inform the two of them would not hesitate and would come to Qingyun's sacred sect immediately to meet them. After all, the two of them are also overlords in the Qingyun sacred sect area. If you still want to hang out here, you naturally dare not offend them easily. However, to be on the safe side, the two of them decided to go out in person. 3 months later, when Duan Lingtian came to Qingyun's sacred sect, if he didn't see the two of them, Qingyun's sacred sect would definitely bear his anger, which they didn't want to see. Even if that Tuobo Yinqing left his cultivation place in Qingyun's sacred sect, I will do my best to bring him back to the sect. In Gua Lin's eyes, there was a cold light that his mother could not doubt, which was fierce and frightening. After leaving the area of Qingyun's sacred sect, Duan Lingtian went directly to the location of Tongtian Pagoda. In the past, the Heavenly Tao publicized the Heavenly Tao text of the Tongtian Tower, which he still remembers in his heart. After the history is cut off, the first Xian of the 7th level appears, and everyone should celebrate it. From now on, a Tian Tower will appear above the Central Sea area of the Outer Worlds. Saints and half-step world lords can go to pass through the level. Once they pass through all the levels and successfully pass the level, they will be able to get a Heavenly Tao talisman, which can block taboos. There are 3 catastrophes. As for which catastrophe to block, you can choose independently. Therefore, he went directly to the sky above the Central Sea area of this outside world. Soon, Duan Lingtian arrived at the destination, and from a distance, he saw the Tongtian Pagoda, which looked like a towering giant mountain, hanging above the sky, with mysterious light shining, extremely gorgeous. Even, far away, he could feel the terrifying aura emanating from Tongtian Tower, as if he was telling others how good it was. The closer the distance was, Duan Lingtian found that he had entered the envelope of a divine consciousness. This spiritual consciousness is much stronger than the 2 saints of the Qingyun sacred sect that he met before, even comparable to him. It is not difficult for him to guess that it is the spiritual consciousness of his master Feng Qingyang. Master! Duan Lingtian's spiritual consciousness extended out, communicated with the coming spiritual consciousness, and greeted respectfully. After the voice fell, he accelerated and reached the side of Tongtian Tower. A familiar figure appeared before his eyes. After many years, the master is still the same as before, but the aura on his body is much more restrained than before, but his eyes are extremely deep, like a black hole in space, mysterious and unpredictable. Xiao Tian. Feng Qingyang stood up, looked at Duan Lingtian in front of him, with a bright smile on his face. I saw the text of the Way of Heaven, and you have also stepped into the 7th level. Congratulations, Master, for becoming the first existence of the 7th level Xian after the history is cut off. Duan Lingtian laughed. He has always been grateful to the Master in front of him. The other party is his enlightener in the way of swordsmanship. Without the other party, he would not have grown rapidly in the past, and his progress has been amazing, and the other party has even indirectly helped him many times on his growth path. Many of them were on the line of life and death, saving his life. Master stepped into the 7th level of Xeon, and he felt happy from the bottom of his heart. I'm also lucky. I was lucky enough to get the inheritance of the Time Sword Senior, so that I can make rapid progress along the law and achieve today's achievements. Feng Qingyang sighed, and the smile on his face became brighter. Now, both you and my master and apprentice have stepped into the 7th level of Xeon, and it will be a good story to spread it. That's right. Most of them now probably only know that the two of us came from the God-defying realm, and they don't know the master-student relationship between us. Duan Lingtian nodded, and the curve of the corner of his mouth became clearer. Thank you, Master, for helping Kier get rid of the soul imprisonment. Thinking of his wife Kier, who has been sent into the small world inside his body now, Duan Lingtian thanked him repeatedly. There is no need to be so polite between you and me. Feng Qingyang waved his hands and said, That's your wife, and also my apprentice-in-law. Moreover, even if I don't take action, you can help her get rid of that soul imprisonment at any time. After Duan Lingtian heard the words, he didn't say much on this topic, but his gratitude never diminished. Although the words were just like what his master said, but his master was able to help Kier release the soul imprisonment immediately after the breakthrough, which showed that he was always in his heart as a disciple. For him, take this matter to heart. Xiaotian, what do you think of me guarding the side of Tongtian Tower and preventing those saints in Jesuan from entering Tongtian Tower? Feng Qingyang asked Duan Lingtian. How else can I see it? Duan Lingtian shook his head and smiled, and his eyes turned cold in an instant. If I step into the 7th step before Master, I will also be like Master, guarding here and not letting them go the way of heaven for them. Arranged shortcuts. If I break through first, I'm afraid I will do the same thing that day. Heaven's not fair. Tiantian Pagoda, I didn't see him arrange it before, but now he has arranged it. Isn't this clearly aimed at you and me, Master? Why do we have to face the forbidden realm of catastrophe on our own? But they have a shortcut. After speaking, the smile on the corner of Duan Lingtian's mouth also turned into a sneer. Master, Duan Lingtian continued, after I finish arranging my family and some things, I will come to pick you up and guard this Tongtian Tower. From now on, you and I will take turns guarding the Tongtian Pagoda, and no one can enter. On this matter, he did not intend to give in. As for whether Tiandao will attack them, he really wasn't worried about this. If Tiandao can attack them without any scruples, why bother to create the Tiantian Pagoda? Wouldn't it be enough to just kill them? Moreover, he inherited the complete memory of the super-strong old man Wukong before the historical partition, so he naturally knew that even during the historical partition, Tiandao had never directly killed someone. There should be some kind of restriction. As for the catastrophe of heaven and earth that year, causing all life to perish, returning the world to chaos, and cutting off history, according to the old man Wukong's own guess, it may not necessarily be what heaven did to them. It is very likely that there is another hidden secret. Chapter 4565. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. Haha. Feng Qingyang laughed heartily, with a free and easy demeanor. Xiaotian, what you said completely touched my heart. However, you don't need to take turns with me. I just stay here alone. Anyway, it's the same wherever you practice. In the next period of time, you'd better spend time with your family. Having said that, he paused for a moment, as if remembering something, looked at Duan Lingtian, and said solemnly, You must have noticed that after stepping into the 7th level of Xeon, the small world in our body has also undergone a transformation. It is enough for many existences below Xeon to practice in the closed small world inside the body. The aura near the tree of life is so rich that it will never lose to the place outside the world, or even the place with the most aura in the world. If your family and friends are willing, they can all enter the small world inside your body to practice, and it is safer there. He is a person who can be said to have no worries, but his disciple is different. He has many family members and friends. If he is not careful, he may be used to threaten him. After listening to Master Feng Qingyang's words, Duan Lingtian also nodded solemnly, thought about this question seriously, and felt that it made sense. Certainly. He also knows that although the small world in his body is suitable for cultivation, it is very boring, and not everyone is willing to stay in it. On freedom or outside freedom. They'll ask them for their opinion then. Duan Lingtian nodded and said, if they don't want to, they'll go to Lord Shao and talk about it. Let the small world in my body replace one of the planes of the gods in the Nishan realm and become one of the planes of the gods in the Nishan realm. The Tao of Heaven is obviously intentionally pointing out a road for saints and Jiezun to hope to overcome the taboo realm and catastrophe. This is the benefit he gives to those people. But now, this road was blocked by his master and him, preventing those people from going on the road. If it were him who was the Tao of Heaven, even if he couldn't directly attack him and his master, he would try every means to give those saints and masters a chance to go on the road. Master, then I will deal with my affairs first. If you have something to do, you can send the Law Avatar back to the Xia family in the God-defying realm to find me at any time, and I will leave a Law Avatar there. Before leaving, Duan Lingtian greeted Master Feng Qingyang. Good. Feng Qingyang responded and watched Duan Lingtian leave with a gratified smile on his face. At the same time, his gaze fell into the distance, his thoughts wandered, and his memory seemed to return to the scene when his disciple was still in the secular plane many years ago. At that time, he was already the Emperor of Nirvana, one of the planes of the heavens, standing high above, overlooking one of the planes of the heavens, and all living beings bowed down. But his disciple has not yet become an immortal. Finally caught up, thinking that before his breakthrough this time, he was surpassed a lot by this disciple. Feng Qingyang sighed again, feeling that he had finally saved his face as a master. Even if he knew that no matter whether his strength was surpassed or not, his disciple would not disrespect him because of it. But deep down he had to admit that he still cared a little. It is something to be proud of that blue comes out of blue and is better than blue, but it is often accompanied by a little helplessness deep in my heart. After separating from Master Feng Qingyang, Duan Lingtian was not in a hurry to return to Nishan realm to find family and friends. It was Feng Su Yufeng, who went to the vast land on one side of the sea area and entered a lofty mountain. The atmosphere in it was so chilling that he almost fell here. Within the mountains, most of the place is barren, and sometimes there are monsters rushing past, rolling up dust, and disappearing in front of them in a blink of an eye. Here, it is the Red Demon Ridge. In the past, he almost fell here. This place was also the first stop on land he arrived at after he came to the outside world and accidentally appeared in the sea area. The owner of the Red Demon Ridge is an extremely strong man named Red Demon, who is suspected to have been seriously injured in the last 10,000 years Xeon tribulation and urgently needs to find a new body to seize. The Red Devil wants to find a new body that fits the conditions as perfectly as possible, because the bloodline's secret method of their family can only use the perfect method of seizing the body once in a lifetime, which is a heaven-defying method that other lives do not have. At that time, Duan Lingtian was considered young, but the Red Devil should have to see whether he met other conditions, so he set up many tests and forced him to participate. However, before the Red Devil finished screening, he escaped from the Red Devil Ridge with the help of others. Red Devil, the old man is here, and you don't come out to see him? Duan Lingtian stood in the sky above the Red Demon Ridge. His eyes were calm, his tone was calm. Although his voice was not loud, it was clearly heard by all the creatures in the Red Demon Ridge. As his voice fell, there were quite a few figures, rising from the sky in the Red Demon Ridge. They were the personal demon guards under the command of the Red Demon, and there were even a few figures that Duan Lingtian had some impression of. Chapter 45-66. Somewhat familiar. The few people who showed up looked at the purple-clothed youth in front of them, and one of them couldn't help muttering to himself, as if he had seen him before. As the puppet centurion of the Lord of the Red Demon Ridge, the Red Demon, he has not left the Red Demon Ridge for many years. In other words, there is a high probability that he met the other party in Red Demon Ridge. Isn't he Duan Lingtian? The other Golem Centurion also felt that the person in front of him was familiar, and soon remembered when and where he had seen each other. It was in the Red Demon Ridge many years ago that he had seen him. The first time I saw each other was when Wu Tsong, the puppet commander, fought against each other. At that time, the opponent was only a middle-level god, but it seemed to be a tie with Wu Tsong, and even broke out in the end, almost escaping from Red Demon Ridge. If Wu Tsong hadn't opened the formation barrier left by Master Chimo Ridge, the opponent would have already escaped. The formation barrier appeared, and Lord Red Demon appeared and took down the opponent. Later, the other party made another attack and powerfully killed Wu Tsong, one of the strongest under Lord Red Demon, in the Red Demon Ridge, shocking all their puppets. At that moment, they knew that looking at the Red Demon Ridge, only Lord Red Demon could hold down the opponent. Originally thought that the other party would eventually become Lord Red Demon's target of seizing the house, but later they were shocked to learn that the other party escaped from Red Demon Ridge under the nose of Lord Red Demon. That time, Lord Red Demon killed many golems to vent his anger in a fit of anger. The entire Red Devil Ridge is bleeding like a river. They never expected that many years later, they would see Duan Lingtian who escaped from Red Demon Ridge again. Was he so courageous? Aren't you afraid that Master Red Demon will take him down? Although Lord Red Demon now has a new body and does not need other bodies to seize the body, it is still an easy task to take down the opponent and make the opponent a puppet. This Ling Tian, since he escaped back then, dare to come back? Several goblin centurions couldn't figure it out. Why did Duan Ling Tian, who had already escaped from Red Demon Ridge and regained his freedom, run back to Red Demon Ridge? Although, some time ago, they also saw the publicity of Duan Lingtian and Tiandao script many times, but they didn't contact Duan Lingtian in front of them. They just thought it was a person with the same name and surname. They subconsciously felt that when they saw Duan Lingtian last time, it was not many years since now, so it must be impossible for them to be the same person. Duan Lingtian? The Red Demon appeared, no longer the body of the past, but another body. The owner of this body, Duan Lingtian, still has some impressions, and he was also one of the young geniuses imprisoned by the Red Demon back then. After the Red Demon appeared, his consciousness spread out and swept towards Duan Lingtian, as if he was surprised by Duan Lingshan's return and wanted to spy on Lingtian. Red Demon, long time no see. Faced with the sweeping of the divine sense, the terrifying aura swept the four directions, making several puppet centurions retreat again and again. The Scarlet Demon, but Duan Lingshan's face remained unchanged, and with a calm smile, the divine sense also swept out. For a moment, Duan Lingtian didn't move, but extended an extremely terrifying momentum, pressing towards the Red Demon. The Red Devil's consciousness instantly collapsed. Wow dash! Under the oppression of Duan Lingshan's consciousness and the extended aura, the Red Demon spit out a mouthful of blood without any warning. His complexion was as white as paper in an instant. His childish holes contracted sharply, and his body trembled. Just at this moment, those two heavenly words that he saw a few years ago appeared in his mind without any sign. Congratulations to Duan Lingtian, the high-ranking in the Nishan realm, who has successfully passed through the Taboo realm and is expected to become the first 7th-level powerhouse after the history is cut off, surpassing the world's revered and saints. Congratulations to Duan Lingtian from the Nishan realm. After surviving the Taboo realm, he successfully broke through and became the second strongest existence of the 7th level after the historical barrier, surpassing Jesuin and saints. There were two heavenly words, and when he saw the first one, he thought of Duan Lingtian who he wanted to take away when he escaped from Red Demon Ridge. However, he felt that it could not be the same person. When he saw the second heavenly Tao text later, he felt even more impossible to be the same person. Even today, when Duan Lingtian appeared again in Scarlet Demon Ridge and delivered it to his door, he never thought that this Duan Lingtian was that Duan Lingtian. Until this moment, Duan Lingtian crushed his consciousness, and just because of his aura, he vomited blood from the air, wounded his lungs, and the small world inside his body was turned upside down. He suddenly realized the Duan Lingtian in front of him, who he could easily control in the past, is the Duan Lingtian announced by the Tiandao text. Now, one of the two most powerful existences in the world beyond, and even in the world. An existence above saints and world venerables. How can this be? Duan Lingtian, Duan Lingtian. Could it be that he is Duan Lingtian who was announced by the heavenly Tao text, has stepped into the 7th level of Xian, and is stronger than a saint? Those puppet centurions were also stunned by the scene in front of them at this time. and at the same time thought of the two heavenly words about Duan Lingtian. Their hearts trembled, and they never thought that the situation would change so suddenly. The first time we met back then, he was just a little guy with a middle-level god. But now, he has already stood in a place outside the world, or even the top of the world. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have dared to dream of such an outrageous thing. At this moment, their souls are trembling. Master Duan Lingtian, the Red Devil, was so frightened that he knelt down, trembling all over and trembling in his soul. No wonder. No wonder this Duan Lingtian dared to go and come back today after he escaped from Scarlet Devil Ridge that year. Not to send him to seek death, but to settle old scores with him. Lord Duan Lingtian, I know that what I did to you in the past will never be redeemed by death. However, I still hope that my Lord will spare my life. I am willing to follow my Lord and be your slave. After confirming that the Duan Lingtian in front of him was the Duan Lingtian in the text of the Tao of Heaven, the Red Demon was completely desperate and couldn't even raise the slightest thought of fighting back. How to fight back? He is almost at the bottom of the strongest, and the existence of the fourth-level strongest can be easily killed. What can he use to fight this powerful who is more terrifying than saints and world venerables? Boring. Duan Lingtian shook his head, but he didn't see any movement immediately. Not far away, the Red Demon kneeling in the void suddenly froze, and then shattered like a dream bubble. Red Devil is dead. As soon as the Red Demon died, those puppet centurions all showed ecstasy and knelt down on the ground at the same time, thanking Duan Lingtian repeatedly. Thank you, Lord Duan Lingtian, for giving me a new life. Thank you, Lord Duan Lingtian. Once the Red Devil died, the restraints on them puppets also disappeared. Soon, more and more golems came out from all over the Red Demon Ridge, knelt down on the ground, and thanked Duan Lingtian. Many people were so excited that they burst into tears. However, Duan Lingtian has no time to go to them. Just a moment after he killed the Red Demon, he suddenly noticed a slight movement in the sky. And then, the sky, which was originally clear and cloudless, suddenly became groggy. Countless dark clouds gathered, and purple thunder like electric snakes shuttled through it, as if a heavy rain was about to come. And in an instant, it seemed that an invisible big hand stretched out, pushing the clouds to see the sun. The long-lost text of the Tao of Heaven reappears. Chapter 45-67. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. At the same time as the words of the Tao of Heaven appeared, the dark clouds that had been fiddled with on both sides turned into a cloud of blood in an instant, and at the same time a rain of blood began to rain. At this moment, in the vast sky, except for the surrounding positions where the words of the Tao of Heaven are located, the rest of the eye-catching places are constantly pouring blood rain. And this is exactly the vision of heaven and earth that appeared after the death of the most powerful Red Demon. The most powerful fell, thousands of miles of blood cloud, blood rain pouring down. Not only Scarlet Demon Ridge, even a large area around Red Demon Ridge was covered by blood rain at this time. This is, the strongest has fallen? The most powerful people in the surrounding area are only the Red Devil of Red Devil Ridge. He is dead? That's the heavenly Tao text? At first, a group of people were shocked by the vision of heaven and earth that appeared when the most powerful person fell, but soon their attention was attracted by the heavenly words that appeared after turning the clouds to see the future. The words of the Tao of Heaven are as golden as before, extremely dazzling, suspended in the sky, giving people a sense of oppression invisibly, which is awe-inspiring. From today, Tongtian Tower no longer has only one entrance, 35 new entrances to Tongtian Tower, 8 more places outside the boundary, 3 for each of the upper 3 realms, and 1 for each of the middle 18 realms. After breaking through the level, after leaving the Tongtian Tower, you will be teleported to a certain realm of 10,000 realms without distinction. This is the heavenly word that is now displayed in places outside the world, and even in front of everyone in the world. Inside the Red Demon Ridge, seeing the words of the Tao of Heaven, Duan Lingtian's originally calm face darkened in an instant. Although he had vaguely expected that the heavenly Tao would move in the future, and it was impossible for his master to block the way for those world venerables and saints to obtain the Tiandao talisman. But I didn't expect it to come so fast. Heaven. With a flash of coldness in his eyes, Duan Lingtian disappeared in place out of thin air, looking for his master Feng Qingyang. All this happened too suddenly. Need to discuss with master how to deal with it. Should I just watch those people pass through the Tongtian Tower and get the amulet of Heaven's Tao, or do something to suppress them, so that as few people as possible can get the talisman of Heaven's Tao? The sudden words of the Tao of Heaven have nothing to do with most people in the outer worlds and 10,000 realms. After all, the Tongtian Pagoda is a trial place for the Tao of Heaven to be open to saints and world venerables. However, for Jiezun and Saint, this is undoubtedly great news. Jiezun from all walks of life in the upper three realms gathered together in the first place. In the bright light world, the burly Jesuan powerhouse, Lei Hong, swept away the haze on his face, and his face was full of red light. Everyone. What we need to do now is to find out where the three entrances of the Tongtian Tower are located in our Mingguang realm. Whoever finds it first, pass it on to others. We must enter the Tongtian Tower as soon as possible. It's too late to change. Who knows, will Feng Qingyang, after seeing the words of the heavenly Tao this time, hate the heavenly Tao, become angry from embarrassment, and go directly to the Mingguang realm to attack us. Hearing Lei Hong's words, the rest of the world masters in the Mingguang realm also showed serious expressions, thinking that Lei Hong's words made sense. In the Mingguang realm, there must be an existence that surpasses the world venerable, otherwise, wouldn't we have to rely on others all the time? Everyone, looking for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower is urgent. I will go first. When a group of Jesuan from the Mingguang realm began to search for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower in various places in the Mingguang realm, Jesuan from the other two realms of the upper three realms were also in action. They all want to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower as soon as possible. In addition, they were all worried that Feng Qingyang would run over and attack them. Even if they didn't plan to enter Tongtian Tower for the time being, they didn't stay in their old lair. They planned to hide after helping others find the entrance of Tongtian Tower. Wait until there is an existence beyond the realm of respect in the realm where you are, and then come out. Those who can live up to now and have the strength of a world venerable are all human spirits, who have a thorough understanding of human nature, leaving themselves a way out. In the past, Feng Qingyang didn't attack them, maybe because he was worried that when he left Tongtian Tower and attacked some Jesuan and saints, other Jesuan and saints would take the opportunity to enter Tongtian Tower. Now, Tiandao opened the entrance of Tongtian Tower again, and there were more than 30 of them. So Feng Qingyang's plan to guard Tongtian Tower and prevent Jesuan and saints from entering failed. They put themselves in the situation. If they were Feng Qingyang, there is a high probability that they would become angry and want to destroy all the saints and world venerables in the land outside the world, and even in the 10,000 worlds, preventing them from having the opportunity to step into this supreme world through the heavenly amulet rewarded in the Tongtian Tower. Strong Seventh Order. Although there are not as many world lords in the middle 18 realms as there are in the upper 3 realms, most realms have more or less 1 or 2 world lords. Like the Nishan realm, those who clearly knew that the former Jesuan had fallen, but still played tricks, were still a minority. Certainly, even if the news of the demise of the former world venerable is exposed in the current Nishan realm, no one dares to underestimate it, because although it has lost 1 world venerable, it has 2 existences that surpass the world exalted. Those are the 2 strongest people in the world outside the world, and even in the world. Send everyone out, and be sure to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower as soon as possible. The world lords of the 18 realms in China gave orders one after another. At the same time, they didn't dare to stay in their lair any longer, and didn't even join the ranks of searching for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower in their own realm for the time being. Instead, they walked out of their respective realms and got in touch with the other familiar Jesuan of the 18 realms. Wang Xiu, whoever finds the entrance of the Tongtian Tower first on your side, how about notifying each other as soon as possible? Haha, just what I want. Waiting for your good news. Maybe you will find it first. One by one, the Jesuan of the 18 realms reached an agreement with the familiar Jesuan and cooperated with each other to see who could find the entrance to the Tongtian Tower in their respective realms first. Most of them want to enter Tongtian Tower in the first place. The Jesuin of the middle 18 realms is different from the Jesuin of the upper 3 realms. There are strong and weak Jesuin in the upper 3 realms, and the weaker newly promoted Jesuin feel that there is a stronger one to support them, so they can relax a little bit, don't have to fight so hard, and don't need to fight to the death. However, the Jesuin of the 18 realms in China are the pillars of their respective realms, and they all want to take another step forward and achieve supreme prestige. At that time, even if it is the upper 3 realms, they will not be afraid. For the existence of the 2 Transcendence Venerables from the Nishan realm, one of the 18 realms in China, they are envious from the bottom of their hearts. Now that they have a chance, why not give it a try? Moreover, after breaking through the numerous checkpoints in the Tongtian Tower and getting the Talisman of Heaven, it is not necessary to face the taboo realm of catastrophe. When to attract the taboo realm of catastrophe depends entirely on one's own arrangement. Heaven's Tao Talisman can block the 3 taboos of heavenly calamity. I don't know if the talisman of the heavenly Tao can be given to each other. If one person holds 6 talismans of the Tao of the heavenly Tao, wouldn't it be able to block the catastrophe of the 6 realms of taboo? Chapter 45-68. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. It's not just the powerful world venerables from myriad realms who are acting. Even saints from all over the world are taking action. One by one, they ordered the semi-sages of their respective forces, as well as a group of powerful people, to go out to find a new entrance to the Tongtian Tower, and at the same time they left their lair. I'm afraid of being killed by Feng Qingyang. Within the area of Qingyun's sacred sect, the 2 saints of Qingyun's sacred sect, Zhaoani and Guolin, also saw the heavenly Tao riding. At this time, Zhaoani had already arrived at the half-holy faction under the Qingyun sacred sect, the Han family. The half-sage of the Han family, Han Jiang, is one of the 2 half-sages that Duan Lingtian asked him to find today. At this time, after Han Jiang came out, recognized him, and saluted him respectfully, before he could make a move, he was attracted by the words of heavenly Tao. Han Jiang is an old man, dressed in brocade clothes, with a resolute face, fierce eyebrows, majestic and extraordinary, and a white beard on his face is even more fierce. However, after he saw the words of heavenly Tao, he immediately saluted Zhaoani, who was standing not far in front of him. Senior Zhao, congratulations. You will be able to enter the Tongtian Tower and get the heavenly Tao talisman immediately. At that time, Qingyun Holy Sect will definitely give birth to an existence that surpasses the saint. After finishing speaking, before Zhaoani could speak, Han Jiang continued, Senior Zhao, our Han family is willing to search for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower for you. However, after hearing Han Jiang's flattering words, Zhaoani, who came back to his senses, suppressed the surprise on his face and looked at Han Jiang indifferently. This glance only made Han Jiang's heart tremble, and his heart was about to burst. What's the situation? This person, who is famous in the Qingyun sect, came to their Han's house in person today, which made him think that his ancestral grave was full of smoke, and he could let the other party come in person. But now, seeing the other party's hostility, he couldn't help being upset. Han Jiang, do you know why I came here? Zhaoani stared at Han Jiang and asked indifferently. Although, he now has no choice but to turn around and look for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower immediately, enter the Tongtian Tower, obtain the talisman of the heavenly Tao, and prepare for surviving the taboo realm in the future. However, thinking of Duan Lingtian, he quickly dismissed the idea. He must first do what that person told him to do. Otherwise, 3 months later, when the other party came to Qingyun's sacred sect and saw no one, what would he do if he attacked Qingyun's sacred sect in a fit of rage? Could it be that he could make a further breakthrough at that time and step into the 7th level of Xian? It's impossible to think about it. Even if you enter the Tongtian Tower, you are not guaranteed to be able to get the talisman of the heavenly Tao. At the beginning, the text of the Tao of the heavenly Tao clearly stated that Jiezun and a saint entered the Tongtian Tower, but they were only expected to get the talisman of the Tao of heaven. You don't have to get the heavenly Tao talisman. Han Jiang doesn't know. Please ask Senior Zhao to clarify. Han Jiang took a deep breath and spoke nervously. Because the Han family was far away from the Fu family, Even though there was a lot of movement on the Fu family's side, and 2 half-saints died in a row, the news hadn't reached his ears yet. Of course, this is also because Zhaoani came to the Han family immediately after returning to the Qingyun sacred sect after the Fu family's affairs were settled. Han Jiang didn't have time to get the news from there. You, the 2 half-sages of the Fu family, and what Tuobali Inching did, don't you know? Zhaoani sneered, and without waiting for Han Jiang's response, he waved his hand, and a powerful force swept out, imprisoning the semi-holy Han Jiang in a blink of an eye. Then, she took Han Jiang with her and left the Han family. Whoosh! At an extremely fast speed, rush back to Qingyun sacred sect. After taking Han Jiang back, he will order people to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower, and then he must go out himself to try to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower as quickly as possible. Senior Zhao Yu, why did you imprison me? Han Jiang, who was imprisoned by Zhaoani, completely sank in his heart. This feeling of uncontrollable life and death made him feel a little desperate. He already saw that the other party was not kind, but he still wanted to know, why did the other party treat him like this? Snort. Zhaoani snorted coldly while walking. Didn't you hear clearly what I just said? At this time, Han Jiang had time to appreciate Zhao Inyas' words just now. Just now, as soon as Zhao Inyas' words fell, before he had time to react, he was taken away from Han Jiang by Zhaoani, so that he had no time to appreciate those words carefully. Now, recalling that sentence again, the first thing he thought of was that many years ago, he and Tuobali Inching were called away by the Mingyao semi-sage of the Fu family, Fu Liangming, to the semi-sacred Duan Yue from the Duan family of Bibo Tianfu. Shoot and kill Duan Yue. Is it possible? This senior Zhao, is he old with that Duan Yue? Apart from this incident, he couldn't think of anything else he did with the half-sage of the Fu family and Tuobali Inching. That time was also the first time he saw Tuobali Inching. Although he had heard of the other party's name a long time ago, he didn't know him. The last time he met the other party was through the introduction of Fu Liangming, the semi-sage of the Fu family. Senior Zhao, are you going to stand up for that? Yue half-sage? After Han Jiang figured this out, his face turned pale immediately, but he quickly started to save himself. Senior Mingjian, that incident was entirely caused by Fu Liangming. I owe him a favor. That time he came to me and asked me to pay him back. Let me join forces with him to deal with Yue Bansheng. However, Yue Bansheng died in his hands in the end. Senior, please enlighten me. Hearing Han Jiang's words, Zhaoani was taken aback for a moment, then frowned and asked, Half-Saint Yu? Is there such a demi-saint within Qingyun's sacred sect? Senior, isn't that what you asked? Seeing that Zhaoani didn't seem to know Yue Bansheng, Han Jiang couldn't help being taken aback. Yue Bansheng is the half-saint of the Duan family of the half-holy force under Bibo Tianfu, named Duan Yue. Duan Yue. Hearing Han Jiang's words, Zhaoani suddenly realized. Last name Duan. And that one is also surnamed Duan. I see. Han Jiang, do you know that before I went to find you, the 2 half-sages of the Fu family were already dead? Zhaoani said calmly. What? Han Jiang's face changed drastically, and his eyes showed horror. Who is it? Who killed them? Hearing this, he faintly realized that Zhaoani personally came to arrest him and mentioned the things he, Fu Liangming, and Tuobali Inching did together. Most likely it was because of the death of the former Yue Bansheng. And the Fu family, like their Han family, is a semi-holy force under the Qingyun sacred sect. Zhaoani, as one of the 2 great saints of the Qingyun sacred sect, and the most powerful one, not only did he not stand up for the Fu family, but also came to the Han family to arrest him? Could it be that Duan Yue is old with other saints? Thinking of this, Han Jiang felt desperate. Chapter 45-69. Also, I guess he is not an ordinary saint. Thinking of this, Han Jiang became even more desperate. And the reason why he thinks this way is because Zhao Inya's status in Qingyun sacred sect is too high. He is the number 1 person in Qingyun sacred sect. If he can personally go out to capture him, how can the people behind him be ordinary saints? After 3 months, you will naturally see that person. Zhaoani spoke calmly, not bothering to explain to Han Jiang. From the ending of the half-sage of the Fu family, It is not difficult to see that it is absolutely impossible for Mr. Duan Lingtian to spare Han Jiang's life. Senior Zhao. Han Jiang was frightened to the extreme, trembling in his heart, and begged, "Can you see me, and even the Han family, have been working hard for Qingyun Shangzong, and give me a way out? If Senior is willing to give me a way out, Han Jiang will spare no effort to work for Senior in the future. He is not stupid either. The two half-sages of the Fu family are dead. If he is brought back by Zhaoani, he will definitely have no way out, and I am afraid he can only live for 3 months at most." That was not what he wanted. Now, he only hoped that the person in front of him would spare him. In his opinion, even if the other party is a powerful saint, as long as Zhaoani is willing to protect him, he can still be protected. After all, Zhaoani is also a veteran saint, and saints whose strength can be seen outside the world are all top-ranked existences. Unfortunately, he never dreamed of the person who forced Zhaoani to arrest him would be an existence above the saint. If he knew, he would never have promised Fu Liangming of the Fu family to snipe and kill Duan Yue, the half-sage of Yuyi. Zhaoani, who ignored Han Jiang and even felt that Han Jiang was annoying, even sealed Han Jiang's mouth and consciousness, and he couldn't even transmit the sound, but at the same time he also received a summons. It was his nephew Guolin who sent the message, "Uncle, Tuobo Lianqing is not in his training ground, and at the same time I saw the text of heaven. I got some clues about the whereabouts of Tuobo Lianqing. Next, I should go to find the entrance of the Tongtian Tower first, or go to the Tuobo Lianqing?" Guolin asked. The words of Heaven's Tao are related to the new entrance of Tongtian Tower, which is very important to his uncle Zhao Anlin. On the contrary, he, even a saint, is not very sure that he can pass the test of the Tongtian Tower and get the Heavenly Tao amulet. Moreover, even if he got the Heavenly Tao talisman, he could not step into the Forbidden Realm for the time being. Although his fire law has comprehended the state of Dzogchen, the Tao of the Sword has just stepped into the 6th level when he broke through to become a saint last time, and there is still a long way to go from the 7th level. If you want to step into the Taboo Realm, you must have a law of great perfection, a 7th level of the 4 ways of heaven and earth. This is the most basic threshold. However, although he was not in a hurry, he had to think about his uncle. "You go to Tuobo Lianqing." On Zhao Enya's side, he quickly responded to Guolin, "I will arrange for people to search for the entrance of Tongtian Tower. I will take Han Jiang back to the sect now. After I go back and make arrangements, I will also go out to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower myself. Within 3 months, you must bring Tuobo Lianqing back to the sect." Zhao Enya's tone was extraordinarily dignified in the last sentence of the interrogation. "Although I can attract the Taboo Realm's catastrophe at any time, if I'm not prepared, even if I have 3 heavenly talismans, I'm not very sure. Also, for the time being, I don't know how difficult it is to get the Heavenly Tao talisman in Tongtian Tower, and I don't necessarily have to get the Heavenly Tao talisman. We can't afford to offend Duan Lingtian." Hearing this, Guolin quickly responded that he would definitely bring Tuobo Lianqing back to Qingyun's sacred sect within 3 months. After Zhaoani brought Han Jiang back to Qingyun's sacred sect, he immediately imprisoned him by means, and at the same time sent a semi-sacred guard who was not weaker than him. "You must keep an eye on him. If he escapes, the sect may be in danger." Zhaoani said to the half-sage he had arranged that this half-sage is his disciple and he can be completely trusted, but he still gave a serious order. "Master, don't worry, unless I die, he can't leave the sect." The half-saint respectfully responded, "If he wants to escape, you can kill him, but the body must be well preserved." At least 3 months later, people can see his appearance clearly and see that he was a semi-holy before he died. Zhaoani added a sentence, and these words fell into Han Jiang's ears, and Han Jiang's complexion became paler with fright. He knew in his heart that whether he would survive in the future would depend entirely on the mood of the saint who came to the door 3 months later. However, he is already mentally prepared, and when the time comes, he will put all the responsibility on Fu Liangming of the Fu family. He is just paying Fu Liangming a favor, and if the other party can spare his life, he is willing to be a slave for the maid. In this way, the other party may not necessarily kill him. After arranging Han Jiang, Zhaoani began to give orders to let most of the semi-sages in the sect go out to inquire about the news of the new Tongtian Tower entrance. At the same time, he also planned to leave. However, what he didn't expect was that, before he left Qingyun's sacred sex region, there would be a strong man from outside the domain who came across the domain and directly sent a message to greet him and communicate with him. The person who came was the sage from Bibo Tianfu who never saw his end, and was also his old friend. Many people thought that this old guy was dead, but they didn't expect that he was still alive. This old guy is older than him, and the last 10,000-year catastrophe almost killed him. Xiao Zhao, have you seen the text of Heaven's Tao? If you have any news about the entrance of the new Tongtian Tower, please let me know immediately. After that, everyone should remove the sound barrier. The old voice transmission reached Zhao Enya's ears. As for Zhaoani, after hearing what the old man said, he smiled wryly. He had so many things to arrange, but he completely forgot about it. Old Ming, thanks to your reminder, otherwise I would have forgotten about the sound transmission barrier. In the land outside the boundary, there are not only formations to isolate the sound transmission, so that the sound transmission from the outer domain is not allowed to enter the edge of the area ruled by the major Saint forces. The sound transmission on my side can't get out either. Now, the strong man in Bibo Tianfu has just crossed the region, so that he can be contacted by sound transmission. Well, if there is any news from my side, I will contact you as soon as possible, Old Ming said. Next, I will go out and look around in person to see if I can find the entrance of Tongtian Tower. There was a bit of urgency in the tone. As for the other party's urgency for the entrance to Tongtian Tower, Zhaoani can understand. After all, if you can't go further and step into the 7th level of Xion, the next 10,000 years of catastrophe will be the death of the other party. I remember. This one in Bibo Tianfu, the last 10,000 years tribulation was ushered in 9,000 years ago, right? No wonder you're so impatient. If there is no way to go further, he will not have 1,000 years to live. Chapter 4570. Time is ruthless. Before the Tongtian Tower appeared, even if they were as strong as saints and Jesuin, they were helpless in the face of the 10,000 years of catastrophe against the strongest who were getting stronger every time. They could only wait for death, because they couldn't take the next step. The next step is no different from being broken. For example, Meng Lao of Bibo Tianfu, who was seriously injured in the 10,000 years of heavenly tribulation 9,000 years ago, survived by luck and saved his life. It took thousands of years to recover. Over the years, after recovering from his injuries, he never appeared in front of people again. Many people outside thought that he had died of serious injuries. However, none of them knew that he was making his last effort. He has a crazy plan. Although this plan can be carried out even by saints and world venerables like him, few people have the courage to carry it out. That is, before the next mortal catastrophe of 10,000 years comes, step into the forbidden realm, face the taboo realm of catastrophe, and see if there is a chance to live to death. The catastrophe of the taboo realm has changed people's faces. In the history of the outer worlds and 10,000 realms, there are many powerful people who have faced the catastrophe of the taboo realm, but they all died miserably. No one survived the taboo realm catastrophe. Occasionally, some invincible high-ranking gods also took that crucial step, leading to taboos and catastrophes, and finally ended in death. Some people deliberately stay in the realm of high-ranking gods and want to face the weaker taboo realm of heavenly calamity, so as not to be almost dead after becoming the strongest. However, it still failed and had no way out. The Meng Lao of Bibo Tianfu is actually not sure. He just wants to fight, make the last effort, and want to bloom the afterglow. If you don't fight, you are waiting to die. If you fight hard, you may die. But if you can live to death, you will be reborn from nirvana, just like living another life. Can live, who wants to die? I don't have the courage of Meng Lao for the time being. After returning to Qingyun's sacred sect and ordering the people below to put away the four-way sound transmission barrier, Zhaoani went on the road again, looking for other entrances to Tongtian Tower. In the previous 10,000 years tribulation, he was only slightly injured. In the next 10,000 years of catastrophe, he is sure to survive. In the next 10,000 years of catastrophe, he may be powerless. So, he still has time. There is no urgency to step into the taboo realm, and more plans to wait and see for a while, to see if there will be a few more extreme 7th level in the land outside the world and the world. Now, there are many people who think like Zhao. The most anxious person is still like the old Ming of Bibo Tianfu, who is not sure how to deal with the next 10,000 years of catastrophe. After setting off on the road, Zhao received many messages from old friends, one after another, and they were all communicating with him, asking him to tell them if he found the entrance to Tongtian Tower. If they find it first, they will share it too. Zhao readily agreed. To Zhao surprise, there was another summons, which was also sent to him by a saint who was older than him. Zhao, if you find the entrance of Tongtian Tower, please say hello to me. The person who sent this message stepped into the Supreme Being, not much later than Ming Lao from Bibo Tianfu. The most important is, 2,000 years ago, the other party almost died under the 10,000 years calamity. Now, it is estimated that they have not recovered yet. Old Wang, your injury has healed? Zhao was shocked. He never expected that this person would also come out to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower. He recovered from his injuries and was going to enter Tongtian Tower to get the amulet of the Tao of Heaven, and then hit the heavenly tribulation of the promotion realm? My injury is still not healed. The other party sent a message again, with a somewhat helpless tone. However, another old friend of mine sent a message to ask me to pay attention to the entrance of Tongtian Tower. I am asking for directions for him. Zhao, don't worry, even if I don't need the location of the entrance of Tongtian Tower in a hurry, I have already agreed with him. If he finds it, he should tell me and I will let you know. He had to be helpless. The 10,000 years tribulation 2,000 years ago almost killed him. Until now, the injury has only recovered a little bit. From now on, without thousands of years, it is almost impossible to recover. Even if he now knows where the entrance of the Tongtian Tower is, he will not dare to enter the Tongtian Tower until he recovers from his injuries. He doesn't want to fall into it without getting the heavenly Tao talisman. Even if there is no fear of his life, it would be a waste of time to get the amulet of heaven, and it might aggravate his injuries. He can't take the risk. Okay, Mr. Wang. Zhao suddenly realized that he thought that the other party had some kind of great opportunity to heal the severe injuries suffered in that catastrophe in such a short period of time. It turned out that it was just asking for directions for others. When Zhao started to move, in the land outside the realm, almost all the saint forces have also moved. Even those saints who practiced casually also took action. Some people want to enter Tongtian Tower by themselves. Some people, it is to help others find a new entrance to Tongtian Tower. The Tongtian Tower, as before, stood above the central sea area of the outer boundary and did not leave. Here, you can still enter the Tongtian Tower. What the Tao of Heaven opens is nothing but other entrances directly leading to the interior of Tongtian Tower. Shout Eon. Tiandao did a really good job this time. Not only opened more than 30 entrances, but even explained that after they leave Tongtian Tower, they will be indiscriminately teleported to a certain realm of 10,000 realms. A cold light flashed in Feng Qingyang's eyes, and his tone was quite unfriendly. This is for them to relieve their worries. I'm afraid that if they come out from here, I will kill them. Not just Breezy. Even Duan Lingtian didn't look too good-looking. He also just came back from Chimo Ridge. Before the appearance of the heavenly Tao characters, he never thought that he would come to his master again so soon. However, soon Duan Lingtian seemed to have thought of something. His face calmed down, and he smiled calmly. Master, even if the way of heaven is like this, if you think about it, you will definitely not exterminate those saints and world venerables without a reason. So, you don't need to be angry. Just let them into their babble. He knew that his master was not someone who killed indiscriminately for no reason. Now that he was angry, he felt that the way of heaven was unfair, and he didn't spill his grievances on those saints and Jesuin. After all, those people are just pawns in the eyes of Tiandao. You and I, master and apprentice, have traveled all the way, faced up to the strong, and have achieved today's achievements. In this world, there are more existences that surpass saints and world venerables. For us, isn't it a spur? After Duan Lingtian finished speaking, before Feng Qingyang could speak, he received an unexpected message. The message was sent by Xiao Tianzi, the master of the Golden Dragon Palace in Bibo Tianfu. Master Duanling Tian, Mr. Ming of our Bibo Tianfu is eager to enter the Tongtian Tower. Now that the Heavenly Dao has added a new entrance to the Tongtian Tower, I don't know if we can let him go to the main entrance of the Central Sea area. This is the first time Xiao Tianzi has contacted Duanling Tian, who has stepped into the Xian realm, and the title has completely changed, and Duanling Tian is respected as my lord. He is relatively familiar with Duanling Tian, and he has also been to Nishan realm later, so he naturally knows that the strong man guarding the main entrance of Tongtian Pagoda, Feng Qingyang, is Duanling Shen's master. Now, the entrances of the Tongtian Tower are blooming everywhere, and there is no news about other entrances for the time being. He wants to ask the way for their Bibo Tianfis Ming Lao, whether he can use the main entrance of the Tongtian Tower and enter the Tongtian Tower first. Chapter 4571. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. In the sound transmission, Xiao Tianzi expressed very clearly that Bibo Tianfu, the most powerful man Ming Lao, who many people don't know exists, is eager to enter the Tongtian Tower to obtain the Heavenly Dao Talisman, and he wants to fight for the second life. Regarding this old Ming, when Duanling Tian was in Bibo Tianfu in the past, he heard people mention it. Many people thought he was dead, and some people thought he was still alive, hiding in the dark and guarding Bibo Tianfu. Now it seems that he is still alive. However, it has come to the end. At least, if the Tongtian Tower does not appear, he will not have many years to live, and he will surely die if the strongest catastrophe comes within 1,000 years. Some time ago, the Tongtian Tower appeared, and Feng Qingyang blocked the way. Although this old Ming wanted to enter the Tongtian Tower, he had no choice but to return because he was afraid of Feng Qingyang's strength. Later, when he learned that Feng Qingyang's disciple was the first Duanling Tian who survived the taboo realm of heavenly calamity after the historical segregation, and that Duanling Tian had a relationship with Bibo Tianfu, he asked Xiao Tianzi to find Duanling Tian, hoping that he could enter Tongtian Tower of Opportunity. Xiao Tianzi had contacted Duanling Tian at the time, but because Duanling Tian was not in the Outer Realm and the Nishan Realm, he had no way to send a message to contact Duanling Tian. Instead, he found Feng Qingyang, but Feng Qingyang didn't buy it, because he wasn't sure if the other party really had a relationship with his disciple Duanling Tian. Let's talk about it after you contact Xiao Tian. This was Feng Qingyang's response to Xiao Tianzi at that time. Therefore, now that Duanling Tian passed on Xiao Tianzi's message, Feng Qingyang also shook his head and smiled. The person you mentioned once came to me in the past, saying that he had an old relationship with you. Let me take it for your sake, and give him that an opportunity for an elder to enter Tongtian Tower. I was worried that he was a liar, so I ignored him and asked him to contact you. Hearing Master's words, Duanling Tian smiled. He did not expect Xiao Tianzi, the majestic master of the Golden Dragon Palace in Bibo Tianfu, to be regarded as a liar by his master. Immediately afterwards, Feng Qingyang said again, "Since it is indeed someone you know, you just ask him to call his elders over. Now that there are so many new entrances to the Tongtian Tower, it is impossible for us to restrict them from entering the Tongtian Tower. I didn't think about killing people, just like you said. As a person, I can't do that kind of thing. Besides, I guard the Tongtian Tower, and I don't have any opinions on them, let alone fear that they will go further and have strength comparable to mine. In my whole life, the thing I'm most afraid of is competition. I guard the Tongtian Tower, but I am venting my dissatisfaction with the way of heaven. Why do I have to rely on myself to break through the forbidden realm and the catastrophe to achieve what I am today? But they can take shortcuts." Hearing this, Duanling Tian knew that after so many years, the master is still the same master, has not changed, and is not afraid of competition, but the backbone is also tough. "I'll tell him." Duanling Tian nodded and sent a message to Xiao Tianzi. "Master, there is no need to be so polite between you and me, right? Isn't it a bit distant when you call adult? Just let that person come over directly. In addition, you should contact the two saints of Qingyun sect. Tell them that if they finish what I told them, they can also walk through the main entrance of Tongtian Tower." Duanling Tian thought of the two saints of the Qingyun sacred sect and wanted to stimulate them, Make them work harder and work for themselves without any slack. Haha, that's not being polite. Xiao Tianxi quickly responded, my lord. I yelled out willingly. When I can catch up with you, I will change my address. Thanks. After Xiao Tianxi received Duan Lingshan's response, he immediately contacted the old Ming from Bibo Tianfu and told him that he could go directly to the main entrance of Tongtian Pagoda, and he had already said hello there. That's how you say hello? Ming Lao was a little surprised, but at the same time he was a little more cautious. Godsend boy, is this reliable? Duan Lingtian, isn't he fishing with his master? Xiao Tianxi smiled wryly. Old Ming, even if they want to fish, they don't need to use you as a knife. You know, that Lord Duan Lingtian still has the status of our Golden Dragon Hall disciple. You don't have to worry about it. For Duan Lingtian, he is still very relieved, and it is absolutely impossible to fool him on this matter. Okay, we'll go there. In fact, Mr. Ming also felt that the other party didn't need to catch him like this, but just wanted to seek peace of mind. So he asked a little more, and he immediately turned, heading towards the direction of Tongtian Tower in the Central Sea area. He is no stranger there. After Tongtian Pagoda appeared last time, he passed by immediately, but seeing that the Jesuin of the upper three realms didn't get any benefits, he could only sigh helplessly and go back. The wind is light, too strong. Can't afford it. After greeting Mr. Ming, Xiao Tianxi thought for a while and muttered to himself, now, should the Qingyun sect also close the sound transmission barrier? As soon as he thought about it, he sent a sound transmission to an old friend of the Qingyun sacred sect, an existence of the strongest fourth rank, whose strength was close to that of a semi-sage, and his status in the Qingyun sacred sect was quite high. He greeted the other party and relayed Duan Lingshan's words. Duan Lingtian? Hearing Xiao Tianxi's message, the other party gasped. He also knew about the fact that Duan Lingtian had killed 2 half-sages of the Fu family and 1 half-sage of Qingyun sect today. At the same time, he also knew that the other party made a move to overwhelm the 2 great saints of Qingyun sect. If the other party is willing, they can use their own strength to destroy Qingyun sacred sect. Old Xiao, are you very familiar with Duan Lingtian? The other party summoned and asked. He had not contacted this old friend for many years, and he couldn't help but be surprised when he received the other party's summons many years later. Okay, Xiao Tianxi responded, and then focused on the relationship between Duan Lingtian and Bibo Tianfu before he passed through the forbidden realm of heavenly calamity. Old Xiao, your luck is invincible, to be able to have a relationship with such an existence in advance. The Qingyun sacred sect's tone was full of envy, and at the same time, thinking of something that his uncle told him today, he couldn't help asking, Old Xiao, this Lingtian is not related to the semi-sacred forces under your Qingyun sacred sect? What's the relationship with Duan Yue, Yuye's half-sage? The saint of Qingyun sect didn't know about Duan Yue's existence, but he did. Knowing that the semi-sage Hanjiang was captured and suppressed by the sect, and waiting for Duan Lingtian to come over, he knew the ins and outs of the matter. So it was not difficult for him to guess that Duan Lingtian and Duan Yue had a close relationship. Duan Lingtian once entered the Duan family and was recognized as a younger brother by that half-sage Yu Yi. Xiao Tianxi replied. In the past, Duan Lingtian had specifically approached him and asked him to help take care of the Duan family, so he later learned about the relationship between Duan Lingtian and the Duan family. Why are you asking this all of a sudden? Xiao Tianxi asked curiously. I see. The people on the Qingyun sacred sect side gasped, and then told Xiao Tianxi what Duan Lingtian had done in the Qingyun sacred sect area today, because the news hadn't spread, and Xiao Tianxi hadn't had time to know. Xiao Tianxi couldn't help sighing when he heard the words. It seems that he really regards Duan Yue as his god-sister. He decided to treat the Duan family more kindly in the future. Chapter 4572. Xiao Tianxi's old friend in Qingyun sect, while chatting with Xiao Tianxi, also sent a message to his uncle. His uncle was exactly the disciple of Zhao Ani, the #1 sage of the Qingyun sect. He contacted his master as soon as he got the content of Xiao Tianxi's message from his nephew. Xiao Tianxi from Bibo Tianfu? Zhao Ani was looking for the entrance of the Tongtian Pagoda outside, and he couldn't help being a little surprised when he suddenly received a message from his disciples, Bibo Tianfu, Do you still have such a connection with Master Duan Lingtian? Bibo Tianfu, how could there be such luck? Zhaoani was so jealous that he went crazy. However, that Lord Duan Lingtian didn't forget me and Gualin after all, and was willing to open the main entrance of Tongtian Pagoda for me and Gualin. And that Lord Feng Qingyang is actually his master? The two 7th-level Zeons that appeared after the historical break came from one of the realms of the 10,000 realms, which is already shocking enough. What made him even more unexpected was that Feng Qingyang was actually Duan Lingshan's master. This news took him by surprise. At the same time, he also learned about the relationship between Duan Lingtian and the Yue half-saint Duan Yue, as well as Duan Yue's origin from the message sent by his disciples. He felt more and more that the members of the Fu family, as well as Han Jiang and Tuobo Lianqing, had no eyesight, and even dared to kill such a terrifying god-sister. Gualin. Soon, Zhaoani sent a message to Gualin, who was looking for Tuobo Lianqing, and at the same time solemnly reminded, "You don't have to worry about the Tongtian Tower. What you have to do now is to find Tuobo Lianqing as soon as possible. Are there any other clues about Tuobo Lianqing? If I need to go there, I can go there at any time." After greeting Gualin, Zhaoani didn't intend to continue looking for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower, but he didn't go back to the Qingyun sacred sect, but walked towards the Tongtian Tower in the Central Sea area. When he arrived near Tongtian Pagoda, he happened to meet Meng Lao, the sage of Bibo Tianfu. Old Meng. After so many years, seeing this old man again, Zhaoani couldn't help but sigh. Back then, when he was still young, this one was a big shot in Bibo Tianfu, and he had stepped into the realm of the strongest. This is a living fossil. Xiao Xiao. Old Meng, an old man in a Taoist robe, with a fairy-like appearance and a childlike face, was also surprised when he saw Zhaoani. "Are you also going to the main entrance of Tongtian Pagoda?" "Yes." Zhaoani nodded. "I heard from my disciples that Lord Duan Lingtian authorized me and Gualin to enter the Tongtian Tower through the main entrance of the Tongtian Tower. However, I don't plan to go in for the time being. I'm planning to come over to thank Lord Duan Lingtian and pay a visit to Lord Feng Qingyang by the way." He already knew Duan Lingtian, but Feng Qingyang didn't know him yet. Although he had seen Feng Qingyang last time, he only dared to wait and see from a distance. Seeing that Jie Zun from the upper 3 realms was frightened back, he also retreated. Feng Qingyang, but like Duan Lingtian, who is above the saints in Jesuan, if he has the opportunity to get acquainted, he naturally doesn't want to miss the opportunity. In a short period of time, he has not planned to enter the Tongtian Tower, and plans to wait and see for a while. You must not be in a hurry. Last time, I heard that you still have the strength to spare. Elder Meng sighed with emotion, and then smiled wryly, "But, I'm different from you. I don't have much time. I just want to enter Tongtian Tower as soon as possible and get those 3 heavenly Dao talismans. I don't know how difficult the level in the Tongtian Tower is, but I think it's definitely not too easy. To get something, I'm afraid you have to pay some price, and you may even be injured. I want to get the heavenly Dao talisman as soon as possible, then come out to recuperate, and then step into the forbidden realm before the next 10,000 years of catastrophe comes. The realm of taboo is the 7th level of Zeon. As long as he steps in smoothly, his strength will be greatly improved, and it will be easy to face the next 10,000 years of catastrophe. In the future, I can live for a long time." On the side of Tongtian Tower, Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang are still there. Soon, Zhaoani and the two came hand in hand. "You came so soon? Did someone catch you?" Seeing Zhaoani, Duan Lingtian was a little surprised. He didn't expect this guy to come over so quickly. Did he already capture those 2 half-sages? "Master Duan Lingtian." Zhaoani greeted him respectfully and then said bluntly, "I have already captured Han Jiang. Gualin has gone to find Tuobo Lianqing, and it won't take long to catch him. I'm not here to enter the Tongtian Tower, but mainly to thank you for giving me the opportunity to enter the Tongtian Tower from here." Zhaoani said, "It's okay. My master doesn't plan to stay here for a long time. At most 10 days and a half months, he will leave here." Duan Lingtian said that after 10 days and a half a month, more than half of the other 35 entrances of Tongtian Tower will definitely be found, and it will be meaningless to guard here again. Qingyun Sacred Sect Zhaoani, I have met Master Feng Qingyang. Although he knew that both Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang were younger than him, Zhaoani still didn't dare to neglect him and kept saying hello respectfully. Next, although he also has the opportunity to step into the 7th level of the strongest and stand shoulder to shoulder with the two people in front of him, he knows in his heart that with the terrifying talents of the two opponents, it is impossible for his future achievements to stop at the 7th level of the strongest. After all, these are the two beings who can survive the taboo realm without the talisman of heaven. Feng Qingyang survived the taboo realm of catastrophe with the cultivation base of a middle-level god. Although there is an element of trickery, but which middle level can successfully pass the law without fear of 1,000 years of catastrophe before becoming a high-level god. To comprehend the Dzogchen and comprehend the 4 ways of heaven and earth to the 7th level, Feng Qingyang's achievement, I am afraid that no one can repeat it, and there will be no successor. Such a character will be absolutely extraordinary in the future. Meng Han, I have seen 2 adults. Elder Meng of Bibo Tianfu also spoke, and his posture was also very low. How could he not think of what Zhaoani could think of? Although Duan Lingtian has some connections with their Bibo Tianfu, he also knows that it is for Xiao Tian's face, and the other party doesn't need to give him face now. Old Ming, the palace master has already greeted me. You just go directly to Tongtian Tower. Duan Lingtian nodded to Meng Han, not alienated, but not enthusiastic either. After all, it was his first contact with Meng Han, and just as the other party thought, it was all for Xiao Tian's sake. Go. Feng Qingyang also saw Meng Han's eagerness to try, and said with a faint smile, I'm afraid you are the first person to enter the Tongtian Tower since the Tongtian Tower appeared. Thank you 2 adults for your success. Meng Han was very excited, and after he finished speaking, he dodged into the Tongtian Tower. Tongtian Tower has been open for a while, and today finally ushered in the first passerby. Chapter 4573. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. Zhaoani stayed for a while, chatted with Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang with a shy face, and finally took his leave and left. He made it clear to Duan Lingtian that when he goes back this time, he will cooperate with his nephew, Guilin, another saint of Qingyun's sacred sect, to find that Tuobel Yinqing. After finding out the other party, send a message to Duan Lingtian immediately. For this reason, he asked Duan Lingtian for a soul orb to facilitate communication. After Zhaoani left, Duan Lingtian greeted Master Feng Qingyang and left here, returning to Nishan realm. When he returned to the god-defying realm, he immediately went to the secular plane where his family and friends were housed in the past, and found his family and relatives, but many of them were no longer in the secular plane. Only his parents, his wife Li Fei, Feng Wudao, and Feng Tianhua's father and daughter remained in this secular plane. Feng Wudao went out a few days ago and is not here for now. Xiao Tian, the person who announced the text of the Tao of Heaven is really you? Isn't it the same name and surname? Seeing Duan Lingshan's return, Duan Rufeng and Li Ro were surprised and curious about it. Although they vaguely felt that it should be their son, they didn't dare to confirm it 100% before confirming it. But they all agreed that if it was their son, they should be back soon. Sure enough, he came back. Congratulations, husband. Congratulations, brother Tian. The 2 daughters, Li Fei and Feng Tianwu, looked at Duan Lingtian with affection and intoxicating eyes. This is their man. With such achievements, it finally made them feel at ease. Before that, although they didn't say anything on the surface, they were unavoidably worried in their hearts. After all, the road to the strong is full of difficulties and obstacles, and what they don't know is that they are often accompanied by life and death. However, they can't help, they can only worry at home. From today onwards, you don't have to hide anymore. Duan Lingtian looked at the 2 daughters with tenderness in his eyes. Over the years, he had indeed wronged them, and he finally healed Kier smoothly. Immediately afterwards, the 4 of them asked about Kier's situation. After all, they all knew that a large part of the reason why Duan Lingtian worked so hard was to cure Kier. Kier's soul imprisonment has been lifted by Master first. After I broke through, I went to the Xia family, the land of the gods, and then sent her into the small world inside my body. Then, he sent his parents, Li Fei and Feng Tianwu, into the small world inside his body, and asked them to visit his wife, Kier, who hadn't woken up yet. Kier is in good condition now. With the blessing of the divine tree of life and the divine water of purifying the world in my body, I will definitely be able to wake up in a few years at most. Hearing Duan Lingshan's words, the four were relieved. Kier was the first to follow Duan Lingtian. At that time, even Duan Rufeng was still missing. She got along very well with Li Ro, as close as a mother and daughter. Li Ro breathed a sigh of relief. That's good. They'll wait for this girl to wake up. Li Fei and Feng Tianwu, who had already become sisters with Kier, also breathed a sigh of relief. Duan Rufeng, Li Ro, and his wife quickly urged Duan Lingtian to accompany Li Fei and Feng Tianwu. Now that Kier is fine, it's time to give Tianwu a title. Hearing the voice transmission from his parents, Duan Lingtian nodded secretly. A few days after returning, Feng Wudao came back. Uncle Feng. Duan Lingtian greeted him respectfully. Even though he is now very powerful, he did not ask for favors with this elder, not to mention that this elder is the father of the confidant Feng Tianwu. Even in the past, on his growth path, this elder also did not miss help. Xiao Tian. Seeing Duan Lingtian, Feng Wudao was also surprised. At the same time, he asked about the heavenly Tao text that appeared some time ago, and when he learned that it was indeed Duan Lingtian, he burst into laughter. Ha ha. Okay. I really didn't expect that you can go to that step, surpassing all the strong men in the world and the land outside the world. Only your master can stand shoulder to shoulder with you. Feng Wudao laughed. He was really happy for Duan Lingtian. This is his future son-in-law. Is Ku'er all right? Facing Feng Wudao's inquiry, Duan Lingtian quickly responded, and at the same time changed the subject and said to Feng Wudao, Uncle Feng, what my parents mean is, recently proposed marriage to you, officially giving Tianwu a title. Hearing this, Feng Wudao was stunned for a moment, and then his smile became brighter. Okay. He'll wait for them to propose marriage. Does that girl Tianwu know? If she knows, she must be very happy. Feng Tianwu is his daughter and the only relative at present. He is naturally happy from the bottom of his heart that his daughter can find a good home. Uncle Feng. Before Duan Lingtian could continue, Feng Wudao interrupted with a smile. Xiao Tian, it's time to change your mind, right? Father-in-law. Duan Lingtian changed his words with a smile, and then told Feng Wudao about his next plan. He was going to find Xiao Mubai, the master of the Nishan realm, and others, in order to control a plane of the gods. With his current strength, he doesn't even need to risk the entire small world inside his body. He only needs to separate a small half of the small world inside his body, which is enough to turn into a plane of the gods no smaller than the plane of the gods today. At that time, if you are willing to stay in the small world in my body and accompany me, then stay in it. If you want to take it outside, you can stay in the plane of the gods transformed into a small world inside my body, which is absolutely safe. Hearing Duan Lingshan's words, Feng Wudao's eyes lit up immediately, because it also meant that he could go to the plane of the gods, which was the place he was looking forward to very much. Duan Lingtian waited for half a month. Someone is back. It was Huaner who came back. Seeing Huaner again, Duan Lingtian was very surprised. This girl was already a superior god. Seeing her return after a long journey, it was obviously because of seeing the words of the way of heaven. Phantom. Looking at the beautiful figure that he hadn't seen for many years, he called out Brother Tian, turned into a gust of fragrant wind and threw himself into his arms. Duan Lingshan's heart trembled, and at the same time he sighed secretly. This girl, even with the layout of the god-defying beasts in the past, she has worked very hard to get to this point. As for why she worked so hard, he naturally knew. Can't help feeling distressed. You are hurt. Soon, Duan Lingtian discovered that Huaner had internal injuries, and the injuries were serious. Even the small world in her body was fragmented and crumbling. Immediately, his expression darkened, and he asked Huaner, who hurt her? Through Huaner's mouth, Duan Lingtian also knew. Some time ago, when Huaner saw the Tiandao text announced by Tiandao, she immediately thought it was him. So she wanted to come back, but she happened to be targeted by someone at that time, and she managed to escape after a big fight. The other party is a descendant of a semi-holy power, a woman, And the reason why she attacked Huaner was because she felt that Huaner was wearing a veil to play tricks, so seeing Huaner was not pleasing to the eye. Chapter 45-74. Duan Lingtian took out the healing elixir, gave it to Huaner, healed Huaner, and let the life god tree and Jingshi Shenshui in his body take action, and quickly recovered most of the injury. For the rest, it takes time to recover. If you think about it, for a few months at most, you can restore Huaner to its heyday. During this process, Duan Lingtian also discovered a mark of divine consciousness on Huaner's body. Obviously, someone used Superb Soul means to put a mark on Huaner's body. If Huaner is in a place outside the border, as long as the distance is a certain distance, the opponent can lock the approximate location of Huaner. He wiped it away. Huaner, the person who hurt you is someone from a semi-holy force in the outer world? After treating Huaner, Duan Lingtian's eyes were full of anger. He hadn't been this angry for a long time. The damned person hurt Huaner to such a degree. If it weren't for the layout of the god-defying beasts, which had left some life-saving cards for the descendant of Huaner, Huaner would have died without a life this time. Brother Tian, don't rush to avenge me. You have just come back. First spend time with Uncle Feng, Aunt Ro, and Sister Fair and Sister Tianwu. Huaner was as sensible as before, but the more sensible he was, the more distressed Duan Lingtian was. It's okay. I'll take you there, and I can solve this matter within a day. With his current strength, his speed is astonishing, and it is easy to cross space. It will not take long to reach the outside world, or even cross the entire outside world. Within one day, it is enough to easily reach the other side from one side of the outer worlds. The Xuanli sect is a semi-sacred sect in the Fengshan realm, attached to the Saint Force Huaiyue Tianzong. Because there is not only a semi-sage in the Xuanli sect, but also a quasi-sacred who is only one step away from the semi-sacred, so the Xuanli sect is quite valued by the Huaiyue Tianzong. At this time, in the Xuanli sect, an old woman suddenly frowned, and then muttered to herself, "Someone actually removed the imprint of my divine sense that I left on that lowly maidservant? The one who shoots is either the invincible high-ranking god, or the strongest. She is still very confident in her means. I really didn't expect that behind her there are such missions. I need to talk to Miss about this. Although she is not an invincible high-ranking deity, she is still a rare opponent under the invincible high-ranking deity. In addition, she has mainly studied soul means for many years, so her attainments in the soul are also extremely high. Looking at the entire outside world, she doesn't think that, under the invincible high-ranking god, there is no one who has higher attainments in the soul than her. As for 10,000 realms, there may be such an existence, but it is absolutely rare." Realizing that this matter needs to be notified, she immediately went to her family's young lady, the only daughter of the deputy head of the Xuanli sect, Guoyaola. "What?" Hearing the old woman's report, Guoyaola, who was a little bit pretty, couldn't help frowning slightly. Behind that woman, can there be an invincible high-ranking or supreme power? "Umph. So what? Do you dare to come to our Xuanli sect to seek revenge?" Guoyaola smiled coldly, her tone full of contempt, and she also has the capital to despise the other party. Although she is only the only daughter of the deputy suzerain, her father is only the existence of the first-level Xion, but her mysterious grandfather is the existence of the fourth-level Xion, and is recognized as a quasi-half in the Xuanli sect. Saint within 10,000 years, it is expected to step into the semi-holy realm. A pair of Xions, one of them is a semi-saint, and they are even attached to the Xuanli sect, a semi-saint power. Looking at the land outside the world and the world, how many people can provoke her? It's just a lowly maidservant playing tricks. Miss Bin told her not to play tricks, take off the veil and have a look, but she still ignored Miss Bin. This lady has grown up so much. This is the first time I have met someone who dares to disobey me like this. It's a pity that she was allowed to escape. There should be a strong person behind her. After all, the means she used to escape, even you can't catch up. The invincible high-ranking can't give her that thing. Of course, it may also be the life-saving means that the invincible high-ranking behind her asked other powerful people to ask for. As the daughter of the strongest, She naturally knows that many powerful have recruited invincible high-ranking gods under their command. Thinking of this, she frowned slightly and then relaxed. Even if the strongest person behind the invincible high-ranking is strong, so what? Could it be possible that he will indirectly make an enemy of our Xuanli sect for a woman? Thinking of this, the contempt on Guo Yaole's mouth gradually turned into a sneer. Don't take it seriously at all. Whether it is Bibo Tianfu or Qingyun's sacred sect, they are all within the territory of Lei Shang, a land outside the boundary. Duan Lingtian had only heard of Wind Saint Realm in the past, but had never been there. After this breakthrough, he had plans to take his wife Hongyan around, at least all over the world, but he never expected that he would come to the Wind Sacred Realm in this way. Semi-holy force in the Wind Sacred Realm, the Xuanli sect? In Duan Lingshan's eyes, icy flames danced, and as soon as he thought about it, the whole body seemed to emit a cold air, giving the passers-by around a feeling that winter is coming. Certainly, Huaner around her was not affected. Duan Lingtian has not lost his mind yet. So strong. The strongest? Passers-by were shocked and speculated. This is the city Huaner came to before going back, and it was outside this city that she was sniped and almost killed. The other party claimed to be the arrogance of the Xuanli sect of the semi-sacred power, who could control Huaner's life and death, and seeing that Huaner refused to talk to her, he asked his subordinates to kill her directly. Zuan Liizong has an industry in this city? It's just right. Just like the last time he went to the Fu family's residence, this time Duan Lingtian did the same thing, arresting a person in charge of the Xuanli sect's industry in this city, and asked him to lead the way to the Xuanli sect. Soon, they arrived outside the Xuanli sect. The Xuanli sect is located within a stretch of mountain ranges. According to the people he arrested, the highest mountain in the middle is the main peak of the Xuanli sect. The high-level and core disciples of the Xuanli sect are all practicing on it. Snort. Duan Lingtian snorted coldly and didn't say much nonsense. When he raised his hand, there was a palm in the air. In an instant, a gray palm print appeared on the summit of Xuanli sect Master Peak, like a cloud hanging from the sky, even more like a cloud that accumulates before the rainstorm. For a moment, the originally clear sky at the main peak of Xuanli sect suddenly became dark. The giant palm is in the sky, covering the sky and the sun. Boom. As Duan Lingtian thought, he pressed it. The giant palm that shrouded the void suddenly became unreal, as if the power of space was beating, folding and swaying unceasingly, like ripples. It is more like a shocking waterfall, venting down. Chapter 4575. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. Everyone in the main peak of Xuanli sect was shocked. At this moment, even the weakest disciples of the Xuanli sect felt the threat of disappointment. The terrifying power shrouded in the sky made them smell like death. Boom. As soon as the commotion broke out, the palm print that covered the sky and the sun above the void roared down, and in a blink of an eye, it hit the Xuanli sect's protective array that had just risen. The Xuanli sect's protective array rose up, and the translucent resplendent mask was extremely gorgeous, with colorful streamers flickering inside and outside, as if it was indestructible. Seeing this, everyone in the Xuanli sect breathed a sigh of relief, and the sect's protective array finally stopped this terrifying force. The Zongmen sect's protective array claims to be able to block the attacks of the semi-saints for half a day. I haven't seen it before, but seeing it today, it really lives up to its reputation. Many core disciples of the Xuanli sect sighed, and at the same time felt proud of being a disciple of the Xuanli sect, and their sense of security doubled. With such terrifying power, there is a high probability that the person who comes will be a demi-saint. After making this guess, most people don't care about it anymore. It's just a half-sage, and it's not like they don't have Zuan Liizong, and there is even a quasi-sage, whose strength is rare under the half-sage. Only, soon, the smiles that had just risen on their faces froze in an instant, just because, in their field of vision, the translucent mask raised by the Guardian Array only persisted for about 1 or 2 breaths before another series of hideous and terrifying cracks appeared. The cracks spread in all directions, and in a blink of an eye, The mask was smashed like an egg with countless cracks, and then it was shattered. Boom. There was a loud noise, earth-shattering, and at the same time the Xuanli sect's protective array shattered. The aftermath of terrifying power raged and swept down, like a cataract pouring down. Boom. Rumble. In the blink of an eye, a terrifying force like dark clouds overwhelming the city swept across the main peak of Xuanli sect. Which saint are you? Why did you attack my Xuanli sect? Inside the main peak of Xuanli sect, an old and unwilling roar resounded through the heaven and earth. Immediately after seeing where the sound came from, beams of light emitted, sweeping all directions, protecting a group of people and quickly leaving the main peak. In other directions, there were also multiple figures, guarding a group of people to leave the main peak. Rumble. Rumble. A total of more than 100 people ran to the main peak, and then only heard the voices of wailing and despair coming from the main peak. But soon these voices disappeared, because the power falling from the sky like a big waterfall was about to collapse in a blink of an eye. The main peak is completely covered. After bursts of loud noises, the entire world seemed to be covered in dust. After the dust cleared, the place where the Xuanli sect master peak was originally located turned into a bottomless giant pit, like an abyss. Hiss, 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 hiss. In the surrounding areas, more than 100 people who escaped under the protection of many powerful men on the main peak came to their senses at this time, and while their faces were pale, they couldn't help but gasp. Horrible. This is the power of a saint? Call. Call. At the same time, two figures appeared above the abyss. It was Duan Lingtian and Huaner who were brought by his side. Under Huaner's signal, Duan Lingshan's indifferent eyes fell on one of the directions. There were more than 10 people standing there. One of them was a woman. Her complexion was pale at this time, and her face was full of heart. She lowered her head and stared at the abyss fearfully, temporarily not noticing Duan Lingshan's gaze. Nor did she notice Huaner beside Duan Lingtian. Your Excellency, I am the suzerain of Xuanli sect, Lu Fenghua. Even if you are a saint, my Xuanli sect is at least a semi-sacred sect under Huaiyue Tianzong's command. Have you greeted Huaiyue Tianzong by doing this? A tall, stern middle-aged man, Yukong, wearing a light blue robe, walked a few steps forward, looking at Duan Lingtian with fear, but he still dared to ask in a low voice. The meaning of what he said was undoubtedly bringing out Huaiyue Tianzong to suppress the other party. Of course, he said it very tactfully, and he didn't dare to be too straightforward. After all, he still doesn't know the details of the other party, but judging from the destructive power of the other party's attack just now, he must be a saint. As the suzerain of the Xuanli sect, he knows nothing about the sect's protective formation of his own sect. If it weren't for a saint, it would be impossible to easily defeat the Guardian formation and even raise the main peak to the ground. Just now, the half-sage of their Xuanli sect told him through sound transmission that when faced with the opponent's power, he also felt powerless for a while, and he only had time to take some nearby elders and disciples away from the main peak, and a message to let him and other powerful Zeons lead people away from the main peak. However, there are still a few weaker powerhouses who were wiped out along with the main peak. Almost when Lu Fenghuo's voice fell, there was a shock in the sky. Dark clouds gathered, and then turned into blood clouds, lightning and thunder. A pouring rain of blood fell without warning, sweeping all directions, covering a large area around. This is exactly the phenomenon of heaven and earth caused by the death of the most powerful members of the Xuanli sect. In the land outside the boundary, many things can trigger some visions of heaven and earth, and even some people who have comprehended the laws to a certain level can also trigger impressive visions of heaven and earth. If you comprehend the law to the existence of the realm of lesser perfection and apply the law of lesser perfection, you can manifest the vision of heaven and earth that illuminates hundreds of thousands of miles. If the Dzogchen law wants to show the vision of heaven and earth, there will even be a vision of heaven and earth that illuminates millions of miles. Of course, after comprehending the law to the state of Dzogchen, it is already back to the basics. If it is not for oneself to show the vision intentionally, the vision will basically not appear, and it is extremely restrained. It's you, the woman who almost killed me? Duan Lingtian didn't respond to Xuanli sect master Lu Fenghua and didn't even pay attention to him. If he didn't integrate into the way of swordsmanship in that blow just now, otherwise, that one blow would be enough to destroy everyone before. No one can escape. The reason why he kept his hands back was not that he was compassionate. The other party had already bullied his woman, so why should he give the other party a way out? But he didn't want the other party to die too happily. It is also because of this that the Xuanli sect master misjudged Duan Lingtian as a saint. And before Duan Lingtian spoke, Guiyaola had actually come to her senses, because the old woman behind her immediately sent a message to remind her after she recognized Huaner beside Duan Lingtian. She just looked at the woman she chased and killed some time ago, and just couldn't help frowning when she heard the saint beside her speak. At this moment, she, who was looking at Duan Lingshan's eyes full of murderous intent, instantly changed her expression. Woman? This woman turned out to be the saint's woman? Her heart sank instantly. She knew that she had caused a catastrophe, and as Duan Lingshan's voice fell, and he noticed Duan Lingshan's eyes, all of the surviving people's eyes, including Xuanli sect master Lu Fenghua, also fell on Guiyaola. Chapter 4576. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. Guiyaola, of course they know each other. The daughter of the deputy suzerain Guiyang, the second strongest of the Xuanli sect, and the great-great-great-granddaughter of the semi-sage Guilan. In Xuanli sect, Guiyaola's status is even higher than that of the suzerain's only son, the young suzerain of Xuanli sect, because she has a blood relationship with the quasi-half-saint. Although the Xuanli sect still has a half-sage, the relationship between the half-sage and the suzerain is not close. It is just an ordinary relationship between master and uncle. Guilan, the quasi-half-sage, was the junior of that half-sage, and was very close to that half-sage. This moment, the half-sage of Xuanli sect, Wang Tengyue, who had been silent all this time, was an old man who looked very kind, and his expression changed instantly. The young man in purple in front of him is a saint. He can be 100% sure of this. And now, according to the other party, the great-great-granddaughter of his junior brother Guilan almost killed the other party's woman? Dare to kill a saint's woman? Even if he is a half-saint, his head is not so strong. Sensing Wang Tingjia's eyes of hating iron and steel, Guilan, who was also looking back at his great-great-granddaughter, changed his face instantly. Just now, no matter whether it was Guiyaola, the great-great-granddaughter, or his great-grandson, Guiyang, the deputy suzerain of Xuanli sect, and others, he took them away from the main peak. If he hadn't shot, these people wouldn't have been able to escape just now. Dear Saint, is there some misunderstanding? I believe, my daughter, I don't have the guts to target those around you. As Guiyaola's father, Guiyang was so scared that his face turned pale at this time. He looked at Duan Lingtian and asked with a trembling tone and soul, Misunderstand? Duan Lingtian glanced at Guiyang lightly. You are her father, the deputy lord of Xuanli sect? Is it a misunderstanding? Just ask your daughter? Hearing this, Guiyang immediately looked at his daughter, his eyes filled with deep pain and despair. He knew that his daughter would definitely not survive today. At this moment, Guiyaola also came back to her senses from a brief moment of trance. Noticing the hatred eyes sweeping around her, her face became paler. It turned out to be this woman. Even the people around the saint want to kill. Why doesn't she go to heaven? It's okay to be arrogant and domineering inside the sect, but how dare you do it outside? It's okay now. Have you kicked the iron plate? It's a pity that so many senior brothers were killed by her. She deserves to be cut to pieces. The surviving group of elders and disciples of the Xuanli sect also hated Guiyaola very much through voice transmission. However, they were afraid of Guiyaola's grandfather Xian, the second strongest of their Xuanli sect, quasi-half-saint Guilan. So they only dared to transmit their hatred, but did not dare to speak out. However, their gazes on Guiyaola were like knives and swords, wishing to crush each other to ashes. Guiyaola came back to her senses and realized the hatred of the world towards her, and even her father, grandfather Xian, who she relied on as her backer, seemed to have given up on herself at this time. Her face changed suddenly, and after a change in her gaze, She knelt down facing the direction of the young man in purple and the woman in white in front of her. Dear sage, I offended the people around you because I had no eyes and no eyes. I also hope that the sage will have a lot of people and treat me like a fart. Gua Yaole's tone trembled. Her fear reached the extreme, and she was so frightened that she almost lost control of herself. She never expected that a woman she hadn't taken seriously a while ago suddenly became someone she needed to look up to and not to be provoked. Saint's woman, is this something she can afford? She knows very well that even if there is a saint sect Huaiyue Tianzong above the Xuanli sect behind her, it is impossible to have a grudge with a saint because of her. What's more, if there is a strong person present on Huaiyue Tianzong's side now, knowing that she has brought such a disaster to Zuanlaizong, they may directly kill her and express Huaiyue Tianzong's respect for this in front of the saint in front of him. Attitude towards the matter. However, when he noticed the murderous intent rising in Duan Lingshan's eyes, Guiyaola also seemed to realize that the other party could not let her off. When she was in despair, she quickly turned around and kowtowed to her father and grandfather Xin. Father, grandfather Xin, save me, help me. Behind our Xuanli sect is the Huaiyue Tianzong, and the Huaiyue Tianzong also has saints. You can save me. You can save me. At the critical moment of life and death, Guiyaola seemed to have grasped the last straw, begging her father and grandfather Xian hard. At this moment, she almost lost her mind. Guoyang and Guolan's expressions completely changed when they heard Guiyaola's words. Damn girl, haven't you understood the current situation? The other party obviously wants her life. She is like this now. Is she trying to harm them? Xian Lizong? After knowing what Guiyaola had done, facing the powerful saints not far away, whether it was Guolan or Guoyang, his biological father, they had actually given up on Guiyaola. Laugh. With a sneer, a terrifying force of space suddenly appeared around Guoyang and Guolan. When Guolan's face changed drastically and Guoyang didn't notice, their bodies and souls exploded without warning. The rain of blood scattered all over the sky, splashing Guiyaola's face. Huaiyue Tianzong? Duan Lingtian smiled coldly. Today, in front of me, Duan Lingtian. Not to mention the Huaiyue Tianzong. Even if all the saints in the Wind's sacred realm join forces, they will not be able to protect you. As soon as Duan Lingtian said this, the dissatisfaction with Xuanli sect semi-sage, Wang Tingyue, who had just been dissatisfied because of his junior brother Guolan's killing, disappeared in an instant. When looking at Duan Lingtian again, the pair of childish eyes stared round, and subconsciously asked in a trembling voice, You are Lord Duan Lingtian? He's numb. Never thought that the strong man Guiyaola provoked would be such an existence. I thought it was a saint, but I didn't expect it to be a more terrifying Buddha. Beyond the existence of saints. Following Wang Tingjia's outrageous questioning, the people present at the Xuanli sect also came back to their senses after a short period of silence, and their faces were pale with shock. Lu Fenghua, the head of the Xuanli sect, felt powerless in his heart. After knowing who the opponent was, he knew very well that even if the opponent wiped out the entire Xuanli sect, Huaiyue Tianzong would not be able to stand up for the Xuanli sect. Lord Duan Lingtian? He is the second strong man who surpassed the saint? Duan Lingtian? A powerhouse beyond a saint, who is as famous as Feng Qingyang? Guiyaola, a bitch, dares to provoke people around Lord Duan Lingtian? He also dragged down our Xuanli sect. He deserves death. Everyone in the Xuanli sect was shocked by Duan Lingshan's identity, and at the same time cursed Guiyaola one after another. Now, Guiyaola's two major backers are gone, and they have no worries. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, Lu Fenghua, the suzerain of Xuanli sect, struck like lightning, killing the old woman beside Guiyaola and all other people of Guiyaola's lineage. Guiyaola was left alone. Lord Duan Lingtian, I, Lu Fenghua, as the head of the Xuanli sect, hereby announce that Guiyaola will be expelled from the Xuanli sect. From this moment on, Guiyaola will no longer be a disciple of my Xuanli sect. Because I don't know if you want to kill her yourself, my lord, so I didn't touch her. If your lord wants me to do it for you, I will make her leave the world in the most painful way. Lu Fenghuo's tone was full of hatred. A woman killed so many people in their Xuanli sect. Even if he cut him into pieces, the hatred in his heart would not be quenched. Chapter 45-77. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. For Duan Lingshan's identity, Lu Fenghua had no doubts. What a joke. In today's world, which saint doesn't know how terrible Duan Lingtian is? Who dares to impersonate him? Are you courting death? Moreover, Duan Lingshan's method of killing Guiyang and Guolan just now was mysterious and unpredictable. He exchanged a few words with Tingyue, the semi-sage king of Xuanli sect. Even if it was the other party, he didn't notice Duan Lingshan's attack. According to Wang Tinjia's words, even if the saint made a move, he would not be unaware of it. It can be seen that this young man in purple is undoubtedly Duan Lingtian. Phantom. Duan Lingtian ignored Lu Fenghua, but looked at Huaner beside him. His eyes were full of tenderness. How do you want to deal with her? Before Huaner could speak, Guiyaola on the other side seemed to have regained some sense and growled. Why are you imprisoning me? I don't want to die. After hearing Lu Fenghuo's statement in front of Duan Lingtian, Guiyaola also realized that she would definitely die today, and immediately planned to commit suicide, fearing that she would suffer all kinds of torture if she didn't die, so she might as well give herself a happy one. However, she soon discovered that there was a force covering her body, suppressing her power, imprisoning her body 9 out of 10, making it difficult for her to commit suicide. The tongue is not imprisoned and can speak, but she is still a god. Even if she bites off her tongue, it is only a minor injury, and it is impossible to die. Brother Tian, you can deal with it as you see fit? Huaner responded to Duan Lingtian softly with a look of husband and wife. Good. Duan Lingtian nodded, then looked at Lu Fenghua and said calmly, In that case, I will leave it to you. He felt that Lu Fenghua would be more intimate to send Guiyaola a ride than him doing it himself. They'll give you 1 month. Within 1 month she must die. If she is not dead by then, I will come to Zuanlaizong to look for you again. After finishing the words, he swept out his consciousness and extracted a wisp of Guiyaola's soul breath to judge whether she was really killed by Lu Fenghua behind her. Although, he couldn't see that Lu Fenghuo's statement just now was a fraudulent element, but he didn't fully trust the other party either. Now, extracting a ray of Guiyaola's soul breath is enough to confirm whether Lu Fenghua will really kill Guiyaola, as he said. Lord Duan Lingtian, don't worry. When Lu Fenghua faced Duan Lingtian, he was very respectful. Halfway through the speech, he glanced at Guiyaola, who showed despair, and then continued, I will definitely send her on the road. Lu Fenghua bit down on the word, good very hard. For this person who killed so many people in their Xuanli sect, and even killed the 2 most powerful members of the Xuanli sect, he only wished to cut him into pieces. Duan Lingtian greeted Huaner and took Huaner away. This time, it is not without other gains. Although Guiyang and Guolan's rings have self-destructed, Guolan, a quasi-half-saint, still left behind a supreme godhead. Previously, Duan Lingtian killed 2 semi-sages of the Fu family and also obtained 2 supreme godheads. As for Guiyang and the red demon who died in his hands not long ago, because his strength was too weak and his comprehension of the law was too shallow, so that he did not condense the supreme godhead at all. The godhead of the strongest is of little use to him now. However, for his family, it is a rare treasure. He intends to divide the Supreme Being's Godhead after he settles his family. Of course, it will not be enough for the time being, but he can find someone to borrow it. Not many people died in his hands who condensed the Supreme Godhead, so there are not many Supreme Godheads in his hands. However, it can be borrowed from other semi-saints and saints. Of course, he didn't intend to borrow from someone he didn't know well, and he owed them favors for nothing. You can borrow it from the 2 saints of the Qingyun sacred sect. I think they will not refuse, after all. I kept my hands on them earlier. Duan Lingtian secretly thought. In addition, he can also borrow it from a few half-step world venerables including Xiao Mubai in the Nishan realm, or he can borrow it from Xiao Tianxi, the master of the Golden Dragon Palace in Bibo Tianfu in the Thunder Sacred Realm outside the realm. The godhead of the strongest person is not only able to be borne by half-saints, even some weaker strongest people can also be condensed. Those who comprehend the law to a certain degree of perfection can condense the supreme godhead, and if they get it, they can use the law of evolution. In the past, a large part of the reason why Duan Lingshan's space law was so fast was that he had the supreme godhead left behind after the death of the supreme being who was good at space law. I hope Lu Fenghua won't disappoint me. Otherwise, I don't mind sending him on the road in a month. Guiyaola bullied Huaner, and he didn't want him to die too happily, so he planned to use Lu Fenghuo's hand to send Guiyaola on the road. Now, he has extracted a wisp of Guiyaola's soul breath. As long as the other party dies, he will be able to sense it immediately. Not afraid that Lu Fenghua would secretly let Guiyaola go. What's more, when he left Guiyaola's soul breath, he also left a soul imprint on Guiyaola's body. As long as the other party appeared in the same world as him, or in a place outside the world, he could be the first time is aware of the imprint of the soul, so as to quickly confirm the location of the other party. Taking Huaner back to the secular plane where his family and friends are, Duan Lingtian left behind a clone of the law, waiting for the rest of his family and friends to return. His family, relatives, and friends in the secular plane all entered the small world inside his body and were taken away by him. Lord Xiao. Duan Lingtian went to find Xiao Mubai and explained his purpose. Lord Duan Lingtian, you are willing to set aside part of the small world in your body as the plane of the gods in the god-defying realm, which is naturally a great thing for the god-defying realm. In this way, the protective formation of the god-defying realm will become even more unbreakable. How about, my lord, you have family members in the land of the gods, and I will ask the owner of the land of the gods to transfer everything in the land of the gods, except his sacred tree of life, to the small world in your body. How about making the small world in your body a new place of God's legacy? Of course, if you don't want to keep the name of the land of the gods, but you want to change the name of the small world in your body that you set aside to serve as the plane of the gods, that's fine, Xiao Mubai said. For Xiao Mubai's respect for him, Duan Lingtian is actually not used to it. After all, this person has helped him a lot in the past, and he accepts the other party's love. However, the other party was still unwilling to change his words, and he still couldn't let go, and he couldn't help it. There is no need to change the name, just continue to call it Land of the Gods. Duan Lingtian shook his head and said, at the same time, I also feel that Xiao Mubai has arranged a place for him, so that the Xia family behind Kier will also be moved to the small world in his body that he left behind. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.